Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Down in the Valley podcast. My name is Edson Ochoa, and I am so back. I'm so back. I'm so glad to be back. Just to talk a little bit more about the Red Crowns we're going to be talking about this last Saturday's match against the San Antonio Corinthians. And to do that, obviously, we've got my good friend, co-host, and play-by-play commentator for the Red Crowns, Jacob Young. Jacob, how you doing?
What an intro, for sure, man. I'm doing great, especially after that one. Yeah, no, it made me excited. Let's go. Very, very happy to be here, Edson. And man, yeah, we got so much to talk about. It's gonna be a great show.
And today, it's not going to be just us two. We've actually got our good friend and constant collaborator for the Down in the Valley podcast. We've got a good friend from South Texas Border Sports, Ray Silva. Ray, how's it going, man?
Hey guys, good evening. How's everything? Doing great. I hope you guys are doing well for yourselves as well.
Yeah, also might I add for that intro real quick for Ray. Also, the man who recorded 5 seconds of me dancing at the stadium for almost no reason, but I felt great even though it was a loss. Still a good video.
Well, it's nice to see that you have an Irish jig of some kind.
Yeah, fair.
No, well, true. But, so, I wanted to try something right now real quick with streaming to Instagram, but apparently it won't allow anything that is not vertical. So I guess we're going to be going with the tried and true YouTube and, of course, on Facebook. So, guys, whoever's out here right now, be sure to tell all of your friends. Be sure to tell, your Tinder dates, your dog, your cat, your grandma, whatever. Tell them that the Down in the Valley is back on today, and we're gonna be talking everything Red Crowns. Ah, man! But I think first there's something that I do need to mention, and that is, of course, that man, I wish things had gone a little bit better on Saturday when it came to that broadcast, man. And it was a little bit on my end. The laptop that I used in the first half, my sister's unfortunately wasn't able to handle the encoding, but the second half it looked a little bit better. But yeah, if you guys are wondering why, it was a little bit choppy, that was because of that and some internet issues as well. But hopefully we can get that fixed for the next home game on the 21st. But other than that, I honestly felt, Jacob, that it was a good match. Ray, I know you were there as well. So before we start talking a little bit more details about the game, what were your thoughts going into this match? And we'll start with Ray.
I felt that this was an opportunity to make a little bit of a statement, especially at home where the team had beaten Central Dallas, one of the other teams in the division as well. San Antonio has gotten in already 3 games prior to playing us, and this one being their 4th. And I guess they showed why they are the top of the class in the Texas division at least.
Jacob?
Yeah, I mean, Ray, you put up a good point right there. There was a reason why they were at the top of their game. I discussed it before as well from other shows and things like that. But I knew coming into this match was going to be very difficult. But the thing that I could say, and the thing that we at least saw from the Saturday home match before that one, was versus Central Dallas FC, it seemed like this team was good. This team had the pieces to be dangerous. Of course, the biggest thing in my eyes still was, how's the field going to be? Because that seemed to be the most troublesome for the players. And what I mean by that is just that was their biggest complaint. And even then it was still just questionable and all of that. And well, has the field gotten better? And sure enough, able to see it on Saturday, that was true. But coming into it, it was just going to be a dogfight in my eyes for this team. And I knew if they just got more chances in on goal, it would be phenomenal. And if we saw, maybe an assist from Zach Hargreaves or Vicente getting more chances, I think this team would be perfect and potentially walk away with 3 points at home. That was what I thought going into it.
So I know coming into this match, I know we talked about it, Jacob, in our testing pregame show on NSN, and I mentioned that I felt that this was going to be a day that maybe the Red Crowns were going to get a statement win. One of the primary reasons was I felt that despite it being a team that had barely been a couple of weeks into fruition, they were able to actually, for I would say like 70% of the match, they were able to hold their own on the road against San Antonio Corinthians, especially on week 1, right? And it was just some individual mistakes and lack of chemistry in the defensive line that opened the door for, I want to say it was, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ray, but I believe in that first game, it was a double by what's his name?
Duvier Mosquera.
Duvier Mosquera, yes. So it was a brace by Duvier Mosquera, and I think both goals were of a similar fashion. Cross into the far post, Duvier Mosquera was left unguarded by the defensive line, and he just put it into the back of the net both times. And I felt like after watching the Central Dallas game, I felt like the defense looked a little bit better. I felt that, San Antonio was going to have a tougher time trying to stop or trying to get past the Crowns defense, right? And honestly, in this game, I said, it could be a win, but I felt it would have been more of a draw. I felt realistically it would have been more of an opportunity to get a draw, which wouldn't be bad, considering the level of the opponent coming into Saturday. And honestly, to me, as the game went on, I mean, we talked about it in the broadcast, Jacob. It was, for the most part, the defense was solid. In the run of play, they were unable to get any decent opportunities. Yeah, they had some shots from outside the box, that went by close. But realistically, in the run of play, they weren't really able to get into the 18-yard box with clear chances. And so that talks about how much the defensive line has improved in the run of play. The problem was, and the 2 goals were not the only times where I pointed out that there was some sort of mistake or some sort of, oversight from the defense when it came to the marking. And at the end of the day, that's exactly what caused, what gave the opportunity to the Corinthians to get those 2 goals in the back of the net.
Mm-hmm. I remember it could have been 3-1 as well. If you recall, of course, the biggest save of the evening, which again, yes, I feel fine that, Thurbin got the team of the week over JC, but JC Alvarez made a pretty big save as well to keep it from being 2-1 early or 3-1. And then, of course, that shot off the crossbar, off the free kick. Of course, that one seemed like it was going top bin. If it doesn't hit the crossbar, it probably sneaks in at worst. And so, yeah, there were mistakes for sure by this team. But, I mean, if that's all we really, truly need to worry about for this side, I feel like that's going to be fixed in no time. Because in reality, in my eyes, again, and I'm sure Ray saw something completely different, but, me focusing on announcing, yeah, I'd like to see more possession near midfield for the Red Crowns. That was, of course, a big thing. But again, the athletes as well will come back and say, hey, look, the field's still not 100% yet, and we're still waiting on it. And then, okay, that's fine by me. But yeah, if that's really the massive thing, that should truly be fixed in no time, because again, still winning those possessions, even on 50-50 balls in midair, feel like it's okay. But yes, of course, there's going to be mistakes. There's still a semi-pro soccer team that half of them, for the most part, this is their first time ever playing in this massive against, well, in front of this many people. That's only probably their second time ever. And B, just in general, they're playing against a top team at that moment, and lapse of judgment, the better team's going to take advantage, and it's going to happen. They're still young. They're still learning, and that's what this league, and that's what we all knew coming into this, we would expect to see those mistakes. And that's okay, because a coach like Reyna will easily be able to, on the practice days, be able to tell his club, hey, and even, of course, the senior players on this team, the ones that have been in Nisa, the ones that have been in this situation, like a Hargreaves, will say, hey, it's all right. We're going to focus on this now and make sure that never happens again, and make sure that San Antonio Corinthians, FC Dallas, Tyler FC, any of these teams cannot do that to us again.
Right?
Just looking at the goal that was scored via the PK real quick. I mean, I honestly thought there was some contact inside the box, and I'm glad that that the response happened within that time, 5-minute time frame. Where you see how a team reacts after being scored on, after giving up a set piece goal. It was one of the things that I talked with Coach Reyna in the post game interview. One of the things that I guess that Jacob did touch upon is like trying to get shots inside the 18. But one of the things that did surprise me was the amount of shots that the Red Crowns did take in the second half. I mean, they just started playing bombs away to see if with these type of surface that there is there at Harlingen Field or Harlingen Park, you might get one of those crooked bounces and get one through the pipes.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why, I mean, hey, I'm not surprised by the amount of shots taken, but hey, it's one of those things where you just gotta try to go on goal.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I noticed as well is that there were a lot of shots by the Red Crowns, especially like you mentioned in the second half. Looking at your notes, Ray, you mentioned that in the second half, the Red Crowns took 10 total shots compared to 1 by San Antonio Corinthians, and that just talks about the ability for the Red Crowns to maintain that possession with a purpose that Coach Reyna mentioned. You want to say something real quick?
Yeah, I just want to add, Jacob, you said something about keeping the possession. To add to that, sometimes like I'm going to use this basketball analogy real quick. The Red Crowns kind of reminded me of a little bit of the Houston Rockets, Phoenix Suns. Like they just try to bomb you with threes. That's what I kind of saw with the Red Crowns. Like they weren't going to have the possession for long, but when they did have the possession, they were going to look for the first shooting opportunity to try to get it on target as soon as they could. Because back when I was saying about the surface not being the absolute best, they were going to try to find that crooked bounce, deflection, anything. And being that there was like no wind to them, I felt like that may have been the best opportunity to get one through.
And not only that, Ray, I mean, it makes sense. And it's one thing I actually discussed with Coach after the game, was that in the second half, in the beginning of the second half, the Red Crowns were going with their typical through balls, right? Mm-hmm. But they were going out towards the wings. And so once I'm trying to remember. either Keviano or Javi Ballesteros, or even sometimes Emmanuel Alvarez, because he would make that run from the defensive position all the way to kind of help out on the wing. But they would try to get crosses inside the box, but in reality, the Red Crowns don't have a target 9. And I told, I mentioned it to Coach Reina, and then it seemed like they made some adjustments and they meant those through balls, but through the middle this time, trying to find the speed of Vicente Alvarez, right? But where I was getting at is that, yes, the Red Crowns were going to try to shoot from the outside, because in reality, that's all you can really do. You don't have a target 9. The San Antonio Corinthians defensive line is much taller and stronger than you are, and even then, it some 50-50s, the Red Crowns are able to get to it, but outside the box. Inside the box, when you have a player like number 27 for Corinthians, I'm trying to remember his name. It's not Santos Hernandez. Well, anyway, but he was solid in the back line. Honestly, he was very solid. It was very difficult for, especially some through balls, especially when they were outside the 18. And in the first half, we saw that a lot. A lot of the through balls that the Red Crowns tried to thread into the 18 were unsuccessful, because the positioning by this player, by number 27, it was on point for the most part.
Victor Cardoso,
yes,
former South American player. I mean, if you look at his trajectory, it's like ridiculous. Like, how's this guy in this league?
Well, I think we haven't seen ridiculousness just yet in this league, Ray. I think we're about to see it in a week from Saturday. Just preparing everybody for that FC Dallas team. I know that's a ways away, but I think that lineup is filled with some interestingly amazing players. It still is questioning myself, just like you, Ray. Why are they in this league? They should be in a better league. But, of course, yeah, besides the point. No, it's talent like that makes this league as well special, because you get those players. I mean, for example, for me, I'm going to go back to it. Honestly, putting Vicente beside, because, I mean, him and I, we go back. And that's my point. Shout out Vicente Alvarez, shout out Leo Salinas, my cousin. But, I mean, both of us, we go back. But going back to it, the first time that I ever heard about Zach Hargreaves, I'm like, oh, shoot, this guy, he's from freaking Manchester, England. We got this player to play on this team. I mean, by far, he's my favorite player. So you get that type of talent, and you're like, all of a sudden, wow, what made this guy be here? He should be out trying out for an MLS program and in general, or trying out for a Wrexham, League One to a championship team, because he seems that good in my eyes. Of course, there's not a lot to judge off of, but it's just those players that just makes this, especially this team, so special. And so it's awesome. And then, honestly, in my eyes as well, getting Diego Rivera subbed in that second half for the Red Crowns, in my eyes, he did a really nice job to help this team out, even though he could not help this team find the back of the nets for the equalizer. He still made some amazing runs to help out this team, in my eyes, at least.
Yeah, honestly, well, I think in my eyes, this Red Crowns team is kind of lacking in the offensive front. I do believe that we really need a target 9. We're a serious target 9. To me, if I was building this squad, I would try to find a way to get somebody with experience in the striker position, with an ex-pro, you might say, right? Because he's the one that's going to tell these younger guys, these younger wingers, these younger midfielders, hey, in this situation, like in this case, when we're down a goal, and it seemed like at times that the Red Crowns were starting to fall into desperation. Um, it's one of those things where, a player like this would tell them, hey, guys, calm down. Let's keep playing how we know how to play. We know how to play. We need to keep on playing our style and let's try this. Let's try, I'm going to move this way in order. Let's say in this example, you had, like you mentioned, Cardoso, right? Victor Cardoso. You couldn't get past him. You try to go for the through balls. You couldn't get past him. You couldn't beat a ball, inside the 18 when you were up against him. So, okay, well, this player tells, okay, I need you to, like I say, let's say Vicente. Okay, Vicente, I need you to run in this portion of the box. Let's see if you can try to try to lead Quintero or Cardoso away from the area, more towards where you are, and see if I can, be a little bit more open, or at least be in a challenge against another less experienced defender. And okay, you winger, I need that ball in this specific area because I know that I'm going to get to it. So those kind of things, all of that really is something that somebody with more experience can bring. Another thing, and I'm going to be flipping the table. Right now, I'm going to be talking about Corinthians. Right, they have experience in the back. I'm surprised they didn't start with Mosqueda up on top since the beginning. But another thing that I noticed, and I was actually about to mention it, but I think I got interrupted by something else during the broadcast, was that I felt that that Corinthians were kind of shooting themselves in the foot. They weren't really controlling the time as well as they should have, because obviously at the end, the Corinthians were trying to go more for a counterattack style, allow the Red Crowns to kind of push up because they were the ones that were desperate to try to find the equalizing goal. They were playing at home, right? And they were going for the long balls, trying to see if they could beat, the defense with their speed. But more often than not, these attackers, when they were able to gain possession of the ball up top, instead of trying to go to the corner flag and trying to beat some time, hide the ball, play with the desperation, you get a foul. Maybe you get the defender carded or anything like that. But at least, even if you do lose possession of the ball, it would be far away from their goal. But when it ended up happening is they tried to continue playing like normal, they would lose it in midfield and would kind of leave themselves in a vulnerable situation. So this is where I know this is semi-pro level, so it's going to be a lot harder to convince these ex-pros to come play at this level. But this is why at this level, when teams are able to get this kind of talent in their rosters, why they are so important to the development of these players.
Yeah, you said it very well, Edson. That's where you strike gold. It's development. Semi-pro will always be development. And yes, of course, all these players, every single one out on the field does not necessarily truly want to be playing at this level. They know that's where they want to start. They don't want to stay there. They want to be playing in that professional level, like I mentioned as well. But it's one of those teams for sure. And you're going to have those issues. And thankfully for, of course, the Red Crowns, they were able to take advantage a little more of those opportunities, like you mentioned with the not necessarily for Corinthians FC San Antonio knowing how to control that possession when they needed to at the time where they needed to waste as much time as possible. There were some things where I could definitely tell that whether or not it actually got the heat and the humidity actually got to the players. But let's say, for instance, they weren't, and they just stayed on the ground and were just wasting time. that's a good tactic in general. That's going to be soccer. I'm fine with it. Because in general, they wasted some time. They were able to get back up. Yes, we could actually tell that a couple of players they were hurting closer to the end of the match, but for Corinthians FC of San Antonio, but still, the Red Crowns could not find that equalizer. But then, yes, you lose that possession. Okay, but the Red Crowns couldn't take advantage of it. But I mean, I just go back to it and say those midfield battles won. That's where I was really getting at, Ray, was the midfield battles won. I will always want to see more midfield battles won for the Red Crowns because it seems like they're playing out wide every single chance that they get instead of trying to go through the middle. Of course, that's going to be the toughest way to go, but that's where you can find, in my eyes, find more open opportunity in for goal.
Absolutely, and I just want to get to Jeff Strong's comment here. Thanks, Jeff Strong, for the warm welcome back. Appreciate that. Uh, but yeah, Jacob, I completely see your point in trying to attack down the middle, but I will counter you with what Edson said. You're gonna have those big physical bodies that are just gonna like clash you and right down the middle. And sometimes the best way to combat that is kind of do an outlet pass and then try to put it back in. Kind of make that defense. Yeah, try to play a little more give and go, in which I kind of wanted to see that more. I saw some bits of it, but as Edson said, that final third, seeing Keviano Francis, a former UTRGV product, I know he hasn't announced anything that, hey, he's leaving, but yeah, it's just one of those things where you kind of want to see the team perform a little bit better in that final third, despite not having the allocated players for that. But I mean, I get your guys' point in that, and I just feel like now that the season's now like 30% gone or a third of the way gone. Yeah. Now that you see who your front runner is, now it's time to like go on the road, go get some results, because you've already lost your first opportunity in San Antonio. Now you're gonna have to travel to Dallas and probably to Austin to go get some results and try to make up ground in the standings a little bit. See if someone else in this conference can knock off Texas. But by the way, it looks like Texas, this Texas division only has one front runner, and it's Corinthians.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I mean, Corinthians has been a serious club. I mean, literally, it really functions as an actual club. It's been a serious club. They've been since 2014. They have, in the men's side, I get 3 teams. One in, obviously, the League for Clubs, one in UPSL, and another one, I want to say they're also in NPSL or another league. But I mean, they have so much talent. They have so much roster that they can build and develop, right? Mm-hmm. And they have the seriousness to not only grab a coach that has a history in Liga MX like Gerardo Mascareño, but also getting a couple of ex Liga de Expansión players to play in this team, to play in this division. I mean, it says something about the seriousness of an organization such as San Antonio Corinthians, right? So they're going to be the standard of what these teams at this division need to do to be serious. Now, obviously, once Corinthians go to the next level, and go to the national playoffs, will they stack up against other teams that are also like good, like Tulsa Athletic? We've seen them in the Open Cup as well. I mean, who else can you think of, Ray and Jacob? So, but because honestly, to me, I think we have a lot of teams in the Texas Conference that are relatively new. Obviously, the Red Crowns, Tyler FC, I think, is also relatively new.
I mean,
Um,
they're relatively new to the point of where they've been in the NPSL. That's the only difference.
yeah, you know,
So you have the real quick. You have those teams. Is my point from that they have that experience, but we all know the failure of the NPSL, and I, for one, love to hate on it because it's just a joke of a league in my eyes. I don't know about you, Edson or Ray, but maybe you want to add to it that it is just a bad
I'm
league.
not.
No, okay.
Yeah, I'm not well versed in lower league soccer for me to give a an opinion on the leagues, to be honest. So I'll kind of refrain from making an opinion about the MPSL. Um, but uh, but yeah, I mean that's the way it is. I will say though, I know at the beginning of the season there was this whole thing. I believe it was actually confirmed to me at that time by somebody within the League for Clubs that the original plan was that only the top team in each conference would make it to the playoffs. But according to some sources, they actually changed that. The League for Clubs changed that, and so now it's going to be the top four. So in Texas, I mean, the top four teams in this
Wait.
conference. What?
That means that there's a chance. There's a
Yes.
literal chance now. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. You're
If
saying
this,
there's a chance.
yes. To me,
Okay, simple.
to quote that meme, yes. So if this is 100% confirmed, that means that we basically would have a chance to make it to the playoffs, maybe have at least one more extra game. I don't know about home, but from what I heard is that it would be the top seeds would host. So it would be
Yeah.
1 versus 4 and 2 versus 3. So 1 and 2 would get to one and two would get to host
Okay.
in that particular round. So if
Top
this
two we
is
go.
true, then I think the Red Crowns and any other team in the Texas Conference, should strive to be in those top two spots, right? And honestly, to me, I think unless something major happens to Corinthians, I think Corinthians has shown that they pretty much have this number one seed on lock. But the season's still long, right?
The
But
season is long, but it is also very short.
short, exactly. But the point I'm trying to make, yes, or yes, Jacob, there is a chance. Miru.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, yeah, you're saying there's a chance. Well, to quote another famous quote, in my eyes, this team will never lose again. And I really do feel it from just everybody that, of course, it's a famous quote, yes, from the good old Shorzy show. But um, the biggest thing that I'm kind of getting at is this team is they're talented, but they also the way that they are talking. I got to interview Vicente Alvarez today, and I know that this episode of that interview will come out soon. And by the way, Edson, I really want to do this like weekly, just an interview every single week because that's
Mhm.
just it seems so much fun in my eyes. But going back to it, like they really do hate to lose. The way that they talk after the game,
Mhm.
they are PO'd. They are frustrated with not only themselves but also with the referee. They'll be upset about that, and they'll be upset with just man, we dominated this match, but we could not score. Like they're frustrated at themselves. Like
Yeah.
remember one time when we interviewed Cello and uh gosh, I can't think of his name. I am so sorry
Chewy?
because Chewy. There we go, Chewy Gooey. But yeah, when he
Shout out to my
got
bros.
exactly, but when they got interviewed, especially Chewy, and he didn't want to answer anything because he was just mad. He's just like, I don't know. This is so frustrating. Like it's basically how his interview went, and so like they hate to lose. They don't want to lose, and so that fire, getting to talk to him at Vicente, especially after the game, and just being like, look, this is we know that we have this big chance to win this upcoming weekend because it's not necessarily against the best team ever, and so it's just that they have that fire. that they want to get better. That as a whole entire unit, just as one, they know that they can and will get better and will be able to hopefully dominate this weekend. And so that's, of course, their goal. Their goal is to win every single weekend. And they are really buying into Coach Reyna. And that is something that I don't, in my eyes, again, going back to an X team that we used to cover, didn't feel like that was the case, that they never truly bought into a couple of other coaches' philosophies. It feels a little different in my eyes, and again, in a positive way. And I don't know, it just feels good. Like, I think we are about to see the biggest turnaround in history, just because I really do believe that the floodgates are about to open for goals.
To be honest, you guys touched something about a league that I will refuse to even mention because bridges were burned there. But I will say that they are still in operation, mind you. Okay, and
Ow.
and I saw yeah, and let's just say I saw some things on Saturday night that I will refrain from mentioning out here. And I think I'll just keep this amongst the chat that we have amongst us. But
Sus.
it,
Dun,
hey,
dun, dun.
I mean, look,
Yeah.
what I saw Saturday
Ray is the
was
imposter confirmed.
sad. Sure, I can live up to that title. Why not? I can live up to that.
Just
I can
FYI,
live
I'm
up
making
to
an
that.
Among Us reference, so
Yeah, I can live up to that. I have
Continue,
absolute
Ray.
zero. But yeah, what I saw Saturday, I just hope that other organization, can try to live up to what that league isn't supposed to be anymore. And that's where I'm going to leave that comment. Now, as far as the two players, Robcore or DJ Robcore and Chewy, let's just say that those guys had a knack to give interviews. I mean, it's just so fun reliving a couple of those memories.
Yes.
But yeah, I remember that one interview where they were just mad, and then someone at the very end of the conference, at that press conference, asked about the referee. Like, oh no, like why?
Yeah.
Why you gotta
Like,
open up
why?
Pandora's box?
Exactly.
Like we get scolded for asking those questions, and yet this guy just like comes out, lands a haymaker.
Gee, wow.
Where's that? Where's the neutrality in that?
Mhm.
Right?
Come after me. I'm a man. I'm 40.
Yeah. So, I mean, basically, that was pretty much, how the game transcribed. It was simply, an issue where it was frustrating for the Red Crowns not having the freedom to play how they wanted to. It was, like I mentioned, frustrating that they couldn't get the through balls in.
Yeah.
It was frustrating for them that, the shots that they were able to make, a lot of the times they could not give it the power that they wanted because the defensive line for Corinthians put them in an uncomfortable situation. I remember there was one play by Vicente where I even mentioned it on the stream. I was like, he should have hit that. He should have hit that with his right foot or his right foot, because it was coming in perfect. But now I confirmed today, when I was hearing the recording. By the way, that interview with Vicente should be coming in later this week, so be on the lookout, everybody. By the way, guys, anybody that's in the chat, I want to get y'all's opinions on the chat as well. We will be putting them on screen and kind of talking about it if you guys want. I know we got maybe like 20, 30 minutes left of the show, but I do want to hear y'all's thoughts too. But what I was getting at is that, I confirmed that he's a lefty. He's a pure lefty. So obviously, that shot wasn't going to be with the power and that he probably would have wanted to. There were other shots from outside the box as well that, they went straight to the keeper. They didn't have the strength that they probably wanted to put in the back. But that was just a decent defending by San Antonio Corinthians. And we have to give them props for that. I mean, if we're going to be trying to be as unbiased as possible, like we try to be, yeah, San Antonio did their job. San Antonio um, played an intelligent match, right, to get the win, which they eventually did, to get the 3 points and take him back to San Antonio. Now, for me to say that, oh, the Corinthians are like unbeatable by the Red Crowns, no. No, I do not.
unbeatable.
I do not think that this is one of the things. Besides the fact that we lost both games against them, they really didn't look as in this game. They didn't really look unbeatable. Like I said, the 2 goals by Corinthians were off of marking mistakes, off set pieces. I mean, the second one was just, I mentioned it, reactive defending instead of proactive defending.
Yeah.
You know, I even called it out. You know, I said, let's watch where these players are going to be running to. And, you know, and I mentioned, you know, that diagonal run inside the 18. And that was all they needed. You had, I know the replay isn't that great, so that's why I'm not posting it. But basically, you had like 3 Red Crowns defenders like at the line at the 6-yard box. And then you had everybody else defending inside the 18, right? Where all of the players for the San Antonio Corinthians were. But they were kind of more towards the left side from the Red Crowns point of view, right? And I think it was, who did I say it was? So the Corinthians player, I want to say it was 20, no.
Cardoso.
No, it wasn't Cardoso. It wasn't Cardoso. It was Sartorio scored the first one. And the second one, and let me tell you right now, I have the league for clubs. I know the first goal was incorrect in Squatty, but the second one, just looking at the replay, it was correct. Daniel Marquez. So Daniel Marquez runs that diagonal line towards the first post, right? In relation of the ball coming in from the corner, and you see our defender, like he looks at as Daniel Marquez is coming and hits the ball, and he's like, "Oh snap!" Like he's late to react, and by the time he reacts, Marquez just, you know, deflects that ball into the back of the net. Even JC wasn't expecting it, or at least for him to be that alone, right? So it's things like these that we really shot ourselves in the foot. Credit to Corinthians for exploiting these tactics, right? To get the win. Yeah, exactly, German. So he says he came in with momentum, and the defense was marking by zone. And I think I specifically stated those words like right before the corner was kicked. I said, they're going to be marking by zone. Let's see how they react. And then it was that exact play where the goal comes in. And I'm like, yep. You know, so could it be also a little bit of, you know, wrong tactics by that coach wanted to implement? I mean, maybe. Right, but at this point, this is soccer, and you have to exploit the vulnerabilities of your opponent, and that's exactly what San Antonio Corinthians did. I mean, it's a good job by the players by San Antonio to identify that and do all they can to exploit it, because it wasn't the only play where the Red Crowns showed those vulnerabilities, right? But that is a sign of a serious, and I guess you can say mature club, you know, that instills these kinds of tactics and vision, you know, to the players, right? So, but no, I don't think San Antonio is leagues apart from the Red Crowns. And that's because the Red Crowns only have a couple of weeks since they put this squad together. So I'm actually really hyped up of what happens now that we pretty much, the good thing is that the worst part of the schedule, in theory, is now behind us with Corinthians. We've already played against them. Now you're going up against like Central Texas, like Tyler, like FC Revolution.
Frisco. And Revolution, yeah.
I mean, Frisco's. I think it's gonna be decent. You know, I mean, they've had blowouts. You know, so far. You know, so it's not gonna be like in the USL Championship when you had all these MLS2 teams playing, where it was like a huge disparity. I mean, now you're talking. This is basically a 3-team in a 4th division. You know, because obviously within the FC Dallas system, you've got your FC Dallas first team, and then you've got North Texas SC in MLS Next Pro, and then you've got your under 23s, which is supposed to be below North Texas, but they're playing in the 4th division. So, I mean, these are talents that have been scouted from, I want to say, throughout the whole nation, right? So they're going to have a more elite, quote unquote, level compared to some of these other clubs, especially these other clubs that have barely started. So, but I do think considering this change that I found out about in regards to qualifying for the playoffs, I think the Red Crowns have a shot at making the playoffs.
Yeah. Therefore, this team will never lose again. And I mean, like you said, but
I don't want to sound cocky either. so I will not say, but
not. I
mean,
get it.
Again, en categoría de se mamó.
It's a certain quote, but like I said, this team, they've got fire under their belt for sure, and coach does too, and that's why I truly believe that it's going to be a complete change, not a complete and utter change of the roster or anything like that, but just I have a feeling coach and the team still have something up their sleeve. Because again, now you're playing on the road. You're playing technically in better field conditions on the road. Yes, it's on the road, but it's not like you're playing in Dallas yet. You're only playing in Round Rock, Austin, which is by car 4.5 hours, by bus about 5 or a little more, especially coming from Harlingen. But kind of going back to it, I just, again, believe that this team, they've gotten their mistakes exploited. So again, now coach truly knows now the coaches, not just coach, the coaches truly know what they can focus on during practice is, okay, get your shots on target and make the keeper work for it. Make JC, Raul, everybody who's on the goalkeeping team work for it in practice. That's the key thing. And then on top of that, now maybe try and win some midfield battles, a little more of it. And then constantly bat them with set pieces. Constantly send balls into the box with everyone there. It is, and we all know this, it's who wants it more on those set pieces. And then as well, mark and make some crazy tactics for the markings and things like that to not allow for that to happen again. Because, yeah, sure, mistakes are one thing, but how do you fix those for the future? And I know Coach Reyna will be able to go with this team and figure out a perfect way to fix that for this team. Like you mentioned, even during the broadcast, too, I believe this team doesn't have a lot of height. But again, they still cleared a good amount of those away and only lapsed on truly 2, given the 2-1 deficit. So, yeah, stuff like that.
Say hi to the dog. But before we move on to final reactions from head coach Rafa Reina, Ray, Jacob, any final thoughts on this particular game?
No, the choppiness of the game just really just drew my attention because 11-15 was a foul count, 26.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that this was a game that kind of like nearly almost got out of hand. I mean, sure, the two
Yeah.
yellow cards did kind of played some precedent. I would have liked to have seen a few more caution cards just for tactical buildup. But that's what it is, you know. But it wasn't that moment he knew that this game was going to be choppy, and because the size advantage was one thing. Just knowing that the amount of fouls was like, whoa, like man, that was something.
So you brought it. I know you tried to bring it up, Jacob, on during the broadcast, but I never really actually got back into it. You asked about the markings of this game, of this matchup, to as a rivalry. You mentioned about
I
it,
guess I did. Yeah.
and I do think this. I'm not going to say right off the bat that this is going to be, oh, Corinthians and Red Crowns are going to be like bitter enemies till the end, right? But it has at least the markings that these two teams are taking their rivalry, their competitiveness seriously against each other. And that only helps out, to at least continue what RGVFC and San Antonio FC had kind of brewed in the beginning, to as far as this rivalry between the Rio Grande Valley and the city of San Antonio, right? It has the markings that this is going to at least continue at a minor scale, right? Because, but they are going to take each other seriously, and I think if this continues hasta donde llegue, I think any matchup between Corinthians and RGV Red Crowns are going to be entertaining.
I mean, to tie everything that you all said, Ray talked about the foul count. Guess what? The players after the match for the RGV Red Crowns weren't necessarily too happy with it. They thought, well, maybe we should have gotten called for more fouls, and just the consensus at the end of the match of how the players just felt in general. And then of course it's like, but the size advantage, if I do this to this guy, I'm gonna get the card and stuff like that. It's just little things. But besides that, the way that the referee was controlling that match as well. Man, this is nothing on the ref. Like I mentioned, even during the broadcast, I enjoyed it because he let a lot of things go that he could have easily called back for multiple times on both sides too. Not only just, especially at the start of the match, not only just for one, but on both sides. Yes, there were some, again, controversial calls, but when is there not in a soccer match in general when it's this fierce? That's just going to be the entertaining part of it. And as an announcer, for me, I know I've got to tell that story. I've got to make it even more entertaining with that. Yes, appeal for a call, but referee says play on, we continue. Stuff like that. And so it's, it was just a very, very fun match to just witness for that. And like y'all mentioned, this is going to be fierce from here on out with the Corinthians FC of San Antonio, because they knew that they could have lost. I don't know what was said at halftime for for things to be changed just a little bit more, in possibly with the foul count being more in favor of Corinthians FC of San Antonio if anything was said, or maybe the refs had a talk. And point is, it was absolutely entertaining to watch, and there is going to be so much promise for this side. And again, talking to the players after the match, talking to Vicente, I mean, they just feel confident. And that's why I believe that in a way this team will, as I've said before, but who knows? They're playing on the road. I think it's going to be a win. I think things are going to be good for this side. Top four, Top two, probably. They definitely have. They still, in my eyes, they have the talent to be that second place team right underneath Corinthians.
Mm-hmm.
You're right there, Jacob. I just see this team contending right there till the very end. I know that this team has that. It's shown a lot of good flashes, especially here at home. Now I'm interested to see how they rebound on the road. Now, I mean, they opened up the season on the road. I'm going to be more curious to see how they react on the road now, knowing that okay now we have to go get a three on the road to kind of like put ourselves into a better position
Better position.
to get us right back into this. This is by no means an elimination game of any kind, but this is like I kind of feel like this is going to be hopefully a start of a good
Mm-hmm.
run for them on the road now.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
prove yourself in a way.
yeah, basically because I mean, you're going to be going against the easier opponents per se. But before we talk about Central Texas Coyotes, let's listen to what Coach Reyna said at the end of the game. Obviously, huge credit to Ray Silva and South Texas Border Sports for getting this post game presser for you guys. But let's see what he said.
Coach, just your overall thoughts on tonight's game. Home loss, just trying to recover from two set piece goals.
Yeah, it's a difficult one to kind of accept. I think we played well. We had our chances, and they took advantage of ours, and we just didn't do that quite enough on our end. But anyway.
You guys outshot them. You guys had a lot of clear opportunities. Just one to just squib through the goalie. The PK obviously helped you guys because it was immediately after set piece goal. But then when you give up that second set piece goal, the next 5 minutes become more important, but you just could not recover your team from there.
Yeah, I think they kind of learned their lesson and didn't let up, and they defended well and they kept it difficult for us to break them down. But I think we kept pushing and we didn't give up. So I'm proud of that aspect.
And the last one on my end, very choppy game from you guys. 15 total fouls committed. I know you guys don't want to resort to that, but in this type of game, I mean, you kind of had to because they were a bit more physical. Just how do you just improve on that moving forward?
Oh, we just talked to them about being disciplined at halftime. We were getting a little too close, too aggressive, and they cut us, and we were resorting to grabbing on and drawing fouls. So we just talked about being disciplined, understanding our assignment, and just being composed when we got into those one-on-ones.
Profe en español.
So that was what Coach Reyna mentioned at the end of the game.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those games where the one I guess the one chance that really just like drew my attention a lot was that one shot that hit the crossbar there towards the end of the game where had that shot gone in, that would have been like game over.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one striking moment that I felt that turned the game. They say that crossbars and send offs can determine where a game can go, and I kind of felt with that crossbar chance that Corinthians had, kind of saved the Red Crowns just a bit.
Yep, I 100% agree.
Same here.
So,
yeah. Oh yeah, I'm good.
Okay, so just real quick, just to wrap up the show. So the next match for the Red Crowns is going to be this Saturday on the road at John Glover Stadium in Little River. I didn't even know there was actually a town called Little River Academy, Texas. But yeah, that's where the Central Texas Coyotes play. They're gonna play Saturday, June 7th at 7:30 p.m. Central Texas really hasn't done well. They started off with a win against FC Revolution. They won 3-1 on the road. But then they lose 5-0 the following week to Corinthians on the road as well. Their matchup against Austin United FC was actually abandoned or postponed due to the weather. So that match didn't play, and apparently that is going to be rescheduled at a later date, but they haven't announced when. And then they lose 3-4 this past weekend against Foro SC. So they basically have, just like the Red Crowns, 2 losses and a win, but they have let in a lot more goals that the Red Crowns have. So, they actually, so it looks like they actually, what's today? June 3rd. They're actually playing right now, I believe, that rescheduled match against Austin United FC. And I think they're currently 0-0 because they started at 6:15 and it's right now 7:32 at this moment. So they're currently 0-0 according to Squatty, unless it doesn't update in real time. But we'll be on the lookout for that result. But based on what we currently have finalized right now,
For the record, they don't do the live scoring like our good friends at Opta Data.
okay, so basically we're pending on once the game finalizes and see what the score is. Okay, good to know. But yeah, I mean they have a losing record right now as well. What do you guys think is gonna happen this Saturday?
Well, yeah, I'll go first real quick. Well, here's the thing. This was kind of told to me, and so the RGV Red Crowns, they had an extra day off to rest and stuff like that. And well, guess what? Coyotes FC, they're playing right now in Central Texas. So they don't have that rest, even though they'll be at home for, Central Texas. So they'll be more tired. That's a big thing, especially with, the Red Crowns traveling on the road. And then, of course, playing in Central Texas, beautiful city around, Round Rock, that area, stuff like that. And like you had mentioned, of course, exactly where it's being played at. But what I expect to happen, honestly, is, and I've been preaching this for weeks, and I still believe that it will happen with this goal and all of that. Well, I still believe that the Red Crowns are yet to have those floodgates open, and I think it's going to be this weekend. If they can do what Corinthians FC of San Antonio did to them, which is exploit the Central Texas Coyotes FC's problems, the mistakes that they make, take advantage of those, all of a sudden, you're probably looking at 3-4 goals scored for this RGV Red Crowns SC side, with goals from Hargreaves, Vicente Alvarez, and may I even say possibly Diego Rivera too. I'm looking at all these players up front. Then your guy from UGRGV that will soon, of course, announce that he's officially leaving. Like all these, I really expect it's going to be this type of team effort this weekend, where the floodgates will open and we'll see 3-4 goals scored by at least this side for the Red Crowns, and probably get another shutout for JC Alvarez. If not JC, well, then again, it's just going to be this team effort.
Right?
I will say that RGV goes on the road. I think they'll get the win. I feel like it's going to be a bit of a challenge, but I think they will get it. I'm going to go with the scoreline 2-0.
Okay.
Bold prediction, it's going to be 3-0.
Okay, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. Jacob, predictions?
Yeah, I mean, predictions kind of hinted at it, but again, I expect the Red Crowns to score 4 goals, and it's going to be a shutout. And this is just, my regular prediction because, again, I really do believe that they have yet to find that, and I think they're going to find that this weekend with the exploits. And of course, I think your biggest bold prediction will be that somebody special is going to join the roster before the end of this week and be able to travel on the team. Maybe, possibly an ex-pro. Who knows? That could be something that we could see. I don't have any sources or anything like that. This is purely a prediction and a bold one, might I add, just for clarification so that no one gets PO'd. This is just a bold prediction that a pro will join the roster, an ex-pro, may I say, and that's going to be your difference. And not only 4 goals now, it's going to be 6-0 for that bold prediction. Hat trick by that pro, by the way.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and go on a limb. I expect. How can I? They're gonna get the win, right? I think they're defensively. I'm very, very optimistic that they can get at least a shutout, right? If they can fine tune those long through balls, those ground through balls, and if they can get somebody that can change this team tactically, if for some reason they find themselves struggling against Central Texas, then I think we can get a 5-0. Otherwise, if the Red Crowns are gonna be spamming, like this isn't like this. What FIFA was it? I want to say it was FIFA 16, where it was like the through balls were OP, where you throw in a through ball and it was almost like an automatic goal, right? If the Red Crowns continue to want to exploit that and be very one-dimensional, then I think other teams in the league are gonna adapt to that and try to counteract it and nullify them. That's the thing that I'm kind of worried about, that they become so one-dimensional. But it's a matter of, getting the pieces that they need to be able to make any tactical changes when things aren't going their way. But I do think, like I said, if they can get that piece, if they can make those offensive tweaks, I think we can get multiple goals on the Coyotes. My bold prediction is that, I hate saying this, but it was almost one of those things where it just never fails. You
Red
feel
card.
confident. No.
Oh! I thought that was your. Yeah, the way you feel confident saying there's going to be red
that's
cards.
that's your trademark. No,
Okay.
I'm going to say that my bold prediction is that the Red Crowns somehow, just like the Dynamo did this past weekend against Sporting Kansas City, where it was they dominated, they had shot after shot after shot after shot, and they just weren't able to capitalize outside of that one goal. And somehow the Sporting Kansas City, which was in theory kind of like weaker in the game, scored 3 goals against you. That is going to be my bold prediction, that somehow the team is going to frustrate itself to no avail, that things aren't going their way. And in true FIFA fashion, the Coyotes will have one opportunity and that ends up going in. So my bold prediction is going to be a 1-0 loss by the Red Crowns.
I'm better
If
than 3 of those to go in than 1, but still, that's horrifyingly a good bold prediction because guess what, Edson? That's not that far away from possibly being a reality. I hate to say it, but like that's the scary part as well. But I'm confident in that they will be able to exploit the Coyotes FC and score those goals and not make your bold prediction come true because gosh, that's a scary bold prediction.
Mhm.
More scary than getting red cards and rain in one game in my eyes. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, who knows?
Well, guys, if that is, unless you guys have anything else that you guys want to add before we go, I think that's gonna be it for today. I think we made some good time. We made it to just a little bit over an hour. I feel like we talked about what we needed to talk about this team, what happened against San Antonio Corinthians. Like I said, I really wanted to do pregame and postgame, but it just things out of our control were made it unable to happen. But really, really looking forward to our next home game.
June 21st.
We're hoping, yes, we're hoping that NSN once again will allow us to air our pregame show on the actual game broadcast. So before the game starts, would be broadcasting live on NSN, having our pregame show, and then transitioning into the actual game, just like we tried this past weekend. I thought that would be a really cool idea, not only for and for the fans to that didn't make it to Harlingen to kind of know more about this podcast and our and what we do, but also for the opposing teams fans to kind of know exactly, get to a little bit know more about what we do, and hopefully inspire other people that might be watching for their respective clubs to do something similar for their clubs. Because I think at the end, like I'm really into like this whole grassroots thing. I mean, down in the valley as a whole, like it was done through the grassroots level. Like I did it because I did it because I loved it. I brought in Ray, I brought in Jacob because they love doing what they do. They loved the team and they wanted people to know more about this team. We didn't make any money off of this, right? So I do feel like at this level, I think it's very important to kind of like help push, inspire other fans around this league that these clubs are worth, giving their fan coverage, not just the professional level, but by you giving more focus to these clubs at the semi-pro level, you help motivate these players. You help motivate these organizations to be a little bit, to try to strive for more of a professional kind of aspect in the matters of, like, for example, like more organization, or at least to inspire them to, hey, like, I want to be more than just a semi-pro club, or I want to make additions, to my club, because my fan base is motivated. My fan base is, what's the word I'm looking for? Informed.
Yeah.
About what's going on here, and they're all in on this. I want to do this for the community. If the community shows their support, not only by going to the games, but getting these players known and knowing more about them and getting their stories out there to be heard, you're going to have a lot more kids coming out from college or even from high school that are going to be eager to join these semi-pro clubs because they want to get that professional experience, right? And be prepared for when their time comes to hopefully get an opportunity at the professional level. They have a little bit of a background in this stuff. And at the end of the day, like we've seen, like with Wrexham, like we've seen with so many teams, like even in the United States, Seattle Sounders, Portland Timbers, right? They started at the grassroots level.
Yes.
And look where they're at right now. right?
Mhm. Top of the
So
top.
at the end of the day, it's better to be genuine. And if the fan base is genuine in their support in pushing this club and whatever other club you support
Hmm.
to its maximum potential, then I do feel like we've done, we
Yeah.
as fans are doing our job to be a part of this, a part of this
Hmm.
movement.
Yeah. And I mean, and you bring up a great point because guess what? That's where we started. We started as fans. We started as fans of the Dynamo, you know, of the Toros FC. Like, we were fans. And then for just in general, I mean, I know we've touched up on this and we're probably going a little bit long, but it just goes back to how beautiful it is. Because now we get to do, yes, still this podcast. I don't believe we make any money. If you do, Edson, congratulations, because this is phenomenal.
I wish.
I don't want to see a penny of that. Like, truly, that's you. But if you did, but now, of course, we talked about it on the intro. Colby reaching out to us, and like we get to cover this team and do it. It's just do it for the love, and it's so true. And I'm so glad that yes, I get to get paid for announcing with this team, but it's special and it's so genuine, and that's the best way. And now that we get to try and build this audience for this team and just to help, that's the thing. We want to help build this community, this culture around this side. And I know we've talked to Colby and all of this, but it's just like for us, our goal with this team in general, even though we don't have a stake in it, but we want this club. We want to have another pro team in the Valley. And if it's this team, it's going to be this team. Like, it's so phenomenal. And we love this. I've loved every single second so far. Visiting the stadium for the first time to this, it's phenomenal. And so, yeah, it's great. And that 21st of June, be there in person. And if you can't tune in, even if you're an opposing fan, because we want to show you what this is all about. Yes, Edson and I will be as just, I mean, he'll show the passion. He'll explain, this is what I expect from this team and all of this, and I'll be doing the play-by-play. It's just, we want to show how much passion, how much pride we'll take in a broadcast, and how much pride this club takes in being able to sell tickets and do this and just grow the freaking game, grow the league as well, because this league for clubs for the Texas division, they deserve so much love. And almost every single one of these teams, yes, except for FC Dallas, because of the fact that they are already a part of an organization. If they weren't, I would say for the whole teams, every single one of these teams, they deserve to be in, USL League 2, or for this league to have that type of pro rel.
And maybe not even at the organization in this case for the FC Dallas under 23s, but at least the players.
There you go. That's perfect. Perfect. But yes.
Yeah.
It's for the love of the game. The beautiful game that we all love so much and are so passionate about for every single one of these teams and players. I mean, they want it. So, yeah.
Ray, any final thoughts before we go?
No, I mean, just general thanks to you for inviting me tonight. It's just been a pleasure being back out here, helping you guys in your broadcast with the notes and stats and everything. I just hope that this continues growing in the right direction, and hopefully that, we continue to have a great impact on the club, and specifically an indie community that may not know much about this team, but try to educate them in the best way possible.
Most definitely. But guys, that's going to be it for tonight. We thank you all for your support. I want to thank Jeff Strong. I want to thank German Vera, obviously, for participating today in the chat. I know it was kind of a last minute decision, but like I said, our our original plan was doing it before and after the game. It didn't happen. So I told Jacob, hey, what about we just do it on Tuesday? Just so we can, I just felt like this game was fun and entertaining enough that there was going to be stuff to talk about. But yeah, guys, be on the lookout. Be sure to, if you missed any part of this episode, obviously the VOD will be available on YouTube. It'll also be available on Twitter. But you can also check out tomorrow morning. I should have the audio version on Spotify, on Apple Music, Amazon Music, and your other podcasting platforms. This episode should be available for you to listen. I'm probably just going to upload the audio version because I think the video version, uploading it through Spotify for podcasts takes forever. Plus, if you want to see the video, I mean, that's what YouTube
It's on
is
YouTube.
for.
That's where
Exactly.
that's where you go.
Exactly. So be sure to check it out right there. Be sure to share it with all of your friends. If you guys have any friends that have gone to a game and want to know more about this club, be sure to share this with them. Let them know about our pregame and our postgame. Let them know about our show. Like we mentioned before, we're gonna have the interview with Vicente Alvarez coming out soon on YouTube. So be sure to check that out. Check out all of our social media. We're on YouTube, obviously YouTube because you're watching. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and we are at Down in the RGV. So be sure to like us, follow us if you haven't done so already. And we will be posting anything that is going to come up, like any material. We will be posting on our social media, so you guys will be aware when everything is available. But if you guys want a more direct notification, you can always, subscribe to our channel on YouTube, and be sure to click on the bell icon, and you will get notifications anytime we go live or anytime we upload a video into our channel. Be sure to do the same with Ray Silva at South Texas Border Sports on YouTube. He will be uploading press conferences there, just like the one we showed you today. So be sure to give him some love as well. But on behalf of everybody, I want to thank y'all for tuning in, and hopefully we'll see each other in the 21st of June for our pregame show right before our match against, I want to say, was it Austin? Is it Austin, that game?
So let's make sure. I believe you're correct, but just to be certain, because they have it right.
No, it will be Foro SC.
Foro SC. Foro.
Yeah. Yeah, so hope to see you all there. If you guys want to hop up and say hi, I know we had a couple of people come up to us and say hi. More than welcome to. You'll find Ray there as well, taking care of the stats. But thank you all, and we'll see each other on the next episode of the Down in the Valley podcast.